The neighbors are waking up in 3, 2. They haven't egged my car yet, so I think I'm still okay, fingers crossed. If you're new here, what's up? My name is Lucas. I make videos about the car I'm in right now, my BRZ. And today is maintenance day. I'm a downshift. Ready for this? Hopefully you guys can hear this. I don't know. The mic's right here. Oh, you guys hear that? You might be wondering, why is that even video worthy, right? Just get an oil change and leave. Yes, but it's because I think they're also gonna drop my pan to check the pickup tube to see how much RTV there is in the pickup tube or in the pan overall. So it's been about 6 months that I've had this car, and I got my first oil change right after the break-in period at around 1,000 miles, not even 1,000. I got it at like 960, 980. And right now I am at 4,145 miles. I don't track this car, just daily drive it. More like daily learning to drive stick and getting good at it for the last 4,000 miles. And the Subaru manual for this car states that if you don't do a lot of heavy driving, spirited driving, I forgot their exact wording, that it's just driven on the street, like normally, I guess, is that the oil change service interval should be every 6,000 miles or 6 months. But if you do track use or drive it heavy, then it should be every 3,000 miles or 3 months. And even though I don't drive this on the track yet, I feel like 6,000 miles for an oil change is still a bit too much, because in my last car, in my GTI, right, and granted I know like every car is different and stuff, the manual says to do it every 10,000 miles, but even then I didn't drive it on the track, just daily driven, and I still did it every 5,000 miles. So for this car, if they're suggesting 3,000 for heavy driving or 6,000 for normal driving, I think I'm gonna still cut it in half and just do it at the heavy driving interval at 3,000 miles. But that also means that, you know, if I'm a few hundred miles over, I won't stress too much. It should still be fine. And an oil change isn't super expensive, and better safe than sorry, I guess, because I do, you know, do the occasional hose and drive within the speed limit. But for this first one, I did want to do it a bit early at the 3,000 mile interval, mainly just to drop the oil pan and see how the RTV is holding up, if the 2024s are still affected. So I will see you again when I get there, but in the meantime, when I'm driving there, let me tell you what RTV and what the RTV issue controversy is. It's the silicone used to make the gasket that seals the oil pan to the engine block. It's basically like make a gasket into whatever shape you want. It's supposed to offer a better seal, and most modern cars use RTV, which is fine, but the issue is that Toyota or Subaru, whoever is responsible for making the gaskets, they're applying too much. Imagine a peanut butter and jelly sandwich where you have too much peanut butter and jelly, and when you squeeze it, the filling falls out through the sides of the bread. That's what happens when there's too much RTV. The silicone has excess pieces hanging off inside the pan, and over time, due to heat and other wear and tears, they'll eventually fall off. And when the oil pickup is clogged, it leads to oil starvation in the engine, and then kabooms. And since the time of release of these cars a few years ago, there has been multiple cases of engines blowing up on the track. And the worst part is, Toyota declines the warranties because they claim the driver used the car on the track. And it takes a lot of media and public shame for Toyota to give in and be like, okay, fine, we'll replace your engine. One of my favorite things every time I come here, wait, I said every time I come here, but this literally has just been my second time being here. PPF, so it's fine. There's always random cool cars here that are just like, whoa, this is cool. I don't know which generation, Hatchie, K, I don't know. You Honda people, let me know. My favorite M car is the M2s because they're just so small. And I feel like this generation looks better than the new current one. Lancer Evo wagon, Evo 89, RPF ones. Are they still in, or are they outplayed? You want to hear something hella dumb? So right across from Project Dream is a Snap-on building, right? Notice I said Snap-on building, not Snap-on store, because my dumbass, the last time I was here after I got my exhaust installed, I drove across the street and went inside and was like, hey, I'm ready to buy some stuff. And the guy was like, no, we just make the tools here. We're not a retail store. This isn't like Best Buy. The three things that I needed to fix here was adjusting my exhaust, oil change, and the RTV. And I don't know if this is a California thing or if they're just really good with attention to detail at Project Dream, but when we were trying to track down a leak in my exhaust, he pulled out a whole stethoscope. While in New York, the mechanic would be like, dead ass, word to my mother, I ain't putting on no stethoscope. And then we also readjusted the tips because they were a bit too shy and I wanted them to be pulled out a little bit more just to show off the blue. When it finally came to the RTV, he put a camera in through the oil drain hole to check how much or how thick it was on the inside.
inside.
You see that white one?
What he showed me was that there's a thick white line of RTV inside my oil pan, and I was thinking like, that's a good thing, right? Because that means none of it has fell off. But they said no, that's bad because that means you do have excess RTV, and basically said I can fix it now or risk it falling off between now and the next oil change. He also said he's seen it happen with cars with as little as 10,000 or 15,000 miles. So I kind of said, you know what, screw it, since I'm already here, let's do it. But to me, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'd rather do it now than to hold off and then have an even bigger problem later on.
You see how much extra silicone seeped out of the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's what breaks off. And
Yep. So essentially it'll break off like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this.
Yeah. And then it'll either get clogged right here.
Okay.
And then essentially clogging the whole oil pickup tube. And
Okay.
then you'll have oil starvation.
There was nothing in the pickup as of right now?
No, because nothing broken off.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
there won't be any on the pickup.
So you can see how thick this is.
Yeah.
All this we're gonna have to remove.
We essentially
Scrape off,
have to, scrape everything off, clean the whole surface, clean the oil pan completely,
Yeah.
and then redo a strip of silicone.
Gotcha.
Like the perfect amount of silicone is actually you won't be able to see on the inside, but it
okay.
perfectly seals it.
You see this Volkswagen? That's how you're supposed to deal with the underside and an oil pan, where there's a metal skid plate. And this is even an off-road car. Metal skid plate covering the oil pan with a metal oil pan, not an exposed plastic or whatever they want to call it. This is definitely one of my more embarrassing moments. More embarrassing because it happened in California, where there's parking everywhere and barely any curbs. All right, to people of the internet, I just got my car back. And it's true what that meme says, that it's worse to not have a car than to not have a girlfriend. Because the time it took for me to get all this done, right, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get lunch or something, and on Google it was like the closest restaurant was like a 15-minute walk, and I'm like, I'm from New York City, half a mile, this is nothing. Worst experience ever. I was walking on the side of the highway and cars were just zooming by, and it was hot and I didn't see a single person. I just paid, got my car back, and here is the bill breakdown. Them adjusting my exhaust, my tips and stuff, they didn't charge me for that. Oil pan removal and reinstallation, they charged me $360. And I assume that's all the labor of it, which includes like scraping it off, resealing it and all that. They charged me $40 where they initially put the borescope into the pan to check. And then they charged me for the new gasket, the silicone gasket that when they redid it. The new one, they charged me the parts for that. It was $17.45. Now the regular oil change, it was one oil filter for $10.25, and then for the motor oil I needed 6 quarts, I don't know, it was $18 each, and I needed 6 of them. That was $108. Question for you is, how long do you wait for oil changes, especially if you have one of the twins, GR86, BRZ? Are you waiting 6,000 miles like the manual says if you're not tracking it? Or are you saying, screw it, that's way too long, even if I don't track it, I'm doing it every 3,000? Because that's where I'm at. I'm gonna do it every 3,000 even though I don't track it. Once in a while, spirited driving, but nothing crazy like a track. And have you checked your RTV yet? If you have one of the twins, are you gonna check it? And are you gonna get it fixed at a dealership? Like, are you gonna have a dealership check it or a performance shop? I've never had much faith in dealerships. I don't get why people like going back to dealerships for work. If it's warranty or something, and I'm like, all right, cool. But my last car, GTI, once I got it, never went back to a dealership. And this car, the only reason it did go back to a dealership was because of that break-in oil period that I just needed a quick oil change, and it was free because the dealership that I bought it from offered free lifetime oil change as long as I had the car, and it was free, so that's the only reason I went to. But if I can help it, I'm not going back to a dealership. I don't have much faith in them. So let me know in the comments, and catch you on the next one.